getting on. Sat by the fireside, pondering on. Picture book, pictures of your mama, taken by your papa a long time ago. Picture book of people with each other to prove they love each other a long time ago. Picture book, picture book.
Great history here at the old GP by the Sea, and we start a new chapter today, off and running on this Friday, August the 3rd. So good to have you with us, everybody. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett alongside, joining you from our clubhouse studios high above the finish line on the 3rd floor. And set for a big weekend, Ronnie. We ran 9 yesterday, starting the month of August, and boy, oh boy, do we pick up in intensity throughout this Twilight Friday card into the blockbuster here tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a big day tomorrow, 13 race card. Remember, special 12:15 post. And, of course, the big news, there's a Rainbow Six get hit today. There's a carryover tomorrow. Over $600,000 in that pool. It is getting exciting. And, boy, if you like full fields, you better be here. But not only today, tomorrow, it is big.
153 entries on the card here tomorrow afternoon with that 12:15 first post start time. And we've got a couple of Florida Sire stakes, a really rich history in the Florida Sire series. The boys get their chance first to strut their stuff in race number 12 of 13 tomorrow on Saturday, August 4th. Fully loaded, facing a field of 9, Ronnie. All eyes, whether you think he's vulnerable or not. And Ronnie thinks he might be up against it to an extent. You've got a good price lurking, but the race goes through him. He's just been really good for Jose Pinch.
Absolutely. Yeah, we mentioned it the last couple of days. Is this the horse you single in that Rainbow Six fully loaded? I'm trying to beat him with Take Command, but that's for tomorrow when we do that handicapping. But a really nice race, nice field of 10 runners in there.
Even more. In 13, we've got a baker's dozen on the card, but how about 14? That's an even bigger number. You have got 5 in this Desert Vixen worth $100K on the main track at 3/4 for Arundel Farm and trainer Stanley Gold. You've also got, and this is a race quite simply, maybe as simple as the morning line favorite in Capture Your Dream. I think she's vulnerable. I want to see her do it again against a better field, a bigger field, but there's no doubt about it. She was terrific here in her lone start.
Yeah, she won her debut by over 10 lengths. And this race, much more wide open than the Colt and Gelding division of the Sire Stakes. So this one, I had to go a little deeper when I put my ticket together in this one.
I don't blame you. I think I used 4 or 5. It's that kind of renewal of the Desert Vixen. And with the big Saturday here and the latest renditions of the Florida Sire Stakes, well, the pressure is on. It's on me here in the opening round of the Florida Sire Stakes. We'll have another Saturday Beat the Expert. Again, there's plenty of ways to win and certainly plenty of racing to go around. I am on the hot seat tomorrow afternoon with that 13-race Saturday card. Sign up for free over at Gulfstreampark.com. We've got it updated. We've got 13 empty spaces for your 13 winners, perhaps, and it's always a good time, Ronnie.
Yeah, you got a chance to win one of those cool polo shirts, and right on its sleeve it says Beat the Expert. And we want you to come here, and if you do beat Jason, I want you to come here and give it to him a little bit.
Yeah, please talk some smack. Always a lot of fun, and I'm sure this place will be buzzing throughout the weekend here as we are off and running again in the new month of August. And we do have some money up for grabs. Couple of key carryovers as we settle in for the first of 9 on this August 3rd. In fact, 2-year-olds on the turf in race number 1 shortly after 2 p.m. About $2,000 carried over in that dollar rolling super high 5. Get a piece of that. You'll also want a piece of the 50-cent early pick 5. I've got a $16 play coming your way in just a couple of moments. But boy, oh boy, $630K thereabouts in that Friday Rainbow. I would like to nail that pot of gold.
Wow, 627 plus, and that is today. You can have it for 20 cents. And, of course, we end the day each and every day with Jason's late pick 5 ticket and a great wager for only 50 cents.
Yeah, pretty solid card. There's a number of highlights today. In fact, I'm looking forward to race number 8 that has Brown's Gap and a few other hard-hitting $8,000 claimers. Might just be the toughest 8K claimer we run on the dirt this summer here at Gulfstream Park. So without further ado, we will get tied on and try to talk about these races and perhaps come up with 9 individual winners today. And it's all about that 50-set early pick 5, Ronnie. In race number 1, some 2-year-olds over the turf course listed as good as they sprint. I've got a couple of, top barns, 2 of my favorite trainers in the mix, and Todd Pletcher and Armando de la Cerda. Todd setting out the likely favorite when it's all said and done, with Tyler in the number 2, indisputably linked. But there is some guesswork to be had. Don't get me wrong. No, Ronnie's got a bit of a price idea he will share with you in just a couple of minutes. Race number 2, all aboard the Zerpa Express. It leaves the station at about 2:35 p.m. Does Coquiva Koa continue her winning ways?
Yeah, it looks like she's in a really nice spot. Maybe a square to spare can grab a share, but it still looks like the one to beat. A good single for you.
I used 2 in race 3. I feel as though Two-Step Blues might be the most talented. However, she's in the lead type, and I see a really fast, crowded pace in that turf race in race number 3 today, and wanted to also use the 2 Luck Be Tanya going out for Victor Barboza. The other Barboza. Victor's got 2 in that race. 4th race is all about another 2-horse spread. I don't see anybody, Ronnie, outside of Country Girl Cheryl, who will never find an easier spot second time out, or the Kathy Ritvo firster by Mucho Macho Man, the 5 Jersey Rose.
Yeah, I see it the same way. I threw the 6 Miss Sassy's back on the ticket too, but I thought those were the logical 2. On my early ticket, that's who I used.
And perhaps the most difficult race is the cash out, race number 5. You see me using every bit of the 1, 5, 7, 9. Number of horses are in respectable form. Number of good connections in the race. There's some speed horses who have chances. I just wanted to cover my bases there in race number 5. Did you think that race was pretty tough?
Yeah, I got my long shot in there, and that's usually where it comes.
What number?
Number 2 horse.
Oh, I went 4 deep. I've got basically half the field, but I don't have Ronnie's long shot.
We're agreement all in the middle, but not in the 1st and not in the 5th. So.
Oh, our paper chaser's your long shot. All right, we'll have to hear what you like about that currency swap filly in just a few moments. But let's shed some light on the opening race today on this August 3rd, a 2-year-old $35,000 maiden claimer, in which perhaps you may have to look no further than the highly percentage, well-connected Todd Pletcher, Tyler Gaffleone data link firster, and indisputably linked. There's not much to go on pedigree. However, aesthetically speaking, I much prefer the data links on the turf, and then you've got the more than ready influence on the damn side.
Yeah, I just found a stat that I wanted to show everybody with Todd Pletcher, and one of the things he's not that great at, if you want to say that. First-time starters, 2-year-olds, maiden claimers on the turf. He's only 2 for 10, 20%, 40% in the money, and he's got a positive return of investment, 232. But you're dealing with Todd Pletcher, and you're dealing with Tyler Gaffleone. So that's a stat I just wanted to put out there, because I'm going to try and beat that horse, and I'll tell you why I'm going to try and beat it, Jason, with the number 4, Come On Venezuela, who's a son of Cantharos, but it's a half-brother to super turf sprinter Ms. Mayhem, making his career debut for Alexis Delgado, MSC El Jaramillo. I see Ms. Mayhem. We were talking about this yesterday. You know I went there. As you mentioned at the top, there's some guesswork. I like the breeding on that horse. Of course, you got to use indisputably linked, and the current 2-to-1 favorite, the number 3, Garon,
who's one of a couple of runners in the race. He's by Revolutionary. You got a couple of somewhat high-profile first-crop stallions, Revolutionary being one of them. This will be his first starter on the turf, and the other first-crop stallion, Mucho Macho Man, who's got a couple of firsters entered on today's card with the number 5, Macho Mania. Big price right now with plenty of time to go before they spring the latch a little after 2 p.m. Let's move on to race number 2. We hit the main track listed as fast. It really is a gorgeous sun-drenched Friday here in Hallandale Beach as we settle in for the opening leg of that early pick 4, a 3-and-up filly and mare starter optional claimer on the dirt, and we're looking at a real favorite here. Ronnie picked this horse on top. I've got, of course, Coquiva Koa on top, and she is my anchor in the early pick 5, and what you see is really what you get, at least of late, with this daughter of Flashstorm. And here, in fact, speaking of late, is her win just a couple of weeks ago on July 15th, where she went away at a pretty good price, 7-2, my friend, and did her thing, likely to get the same kind of trip, tracking the pace outside before taking over. I see her getting that first over, being the hunter, kind of stalking trip right outside the number 2 Italian Smile. And if for no other reason, I mean, Gilberto Zerpa's just been close to unbeatable.
And this was first after the claim by Gilberto Zerpa, so the horse did not lose a step and coming back. And I'm in total agreement. MSCL Jaramillo's go-to rider in the saddle today. If you're looking for an exacta play, I used the 6 a square to spare in second, turning back to 3/4 of a mile today, set that pressured pace last time out, you know, and weakened to finish third against similar. That was going 7/8. Of Coquiva Co is not up to the task. Maybe a horse like a square to spare closes and gets the job done.
Yeah, Solfatara, to me, is the main danger to Coquiva Koa, who, again, is probably odds-on here and is a big favorite. This is a bit of a crossroads, pivotal-type race for Solfatara, who was so good off the claim here throughout the fall for Henry Colazzo. She was off for a long time. She didn't get bet in that return race and really didn't run all that well. Does she improve second off the bench, or has the clock, as they say, struck midnight for her? We'll find out against a big favorite in race number 2. Here's Friday's third. We are back on the turf, and we've got this $16,000 3-and-up filly mare claimer, in which not a big field in terms of numbers. You've got 8 in the body of the race. However, the one defining characteristic that I find that's very comparable between these fillies and mares, I see a lot of speed in the race, Ronnie. And in the end, how will that affect the horse we're about to show you in Two-Step Blues, one of a couple in the race for trainer Victor Barboza Jr.? I feel as though, and they did it last time out, they played no game. She was able to clear from the inside, got an aggressive ride, and I think the days of trying to rate her and sit up close and trying to pass horses, I think following that loss, even on the dirt, couple of starts back on June 23rd are over. But again, with her being, at least in my eyes, and I think she's the most talented in the race, I just see her having her hooves full early on. You've got Morena Mia, who's got some early speed, and let's not forget towards the outside, the number 8, Ready for Summer, and even the 7, There Goes Bella. I see a lot of speed here, my friend, although I won't argue with you saying probably Two-Step Blues is the best filly going into the race.
Yeah, going to try and make it 2 in a row. You saw that performance last time out to lead every step of the way, jump the tracks through the stretch. That's not a case today. Could fix that turf course up really nice. But you're right, the horse you have on top is going to sit the trip. We're talking about the 2, Luck B. Tanya, does her best running from the latter stages of the race. She should get enough pace to complement her running style. It's Victor Barboza Jr. He also conditions Two-Step Blues, so he's got all the bases covered here. Speed and stalker. You like to see that.
And it's a case where, as far as the running style goes, I don't think if you're Victor Barboza Jr., you could draw this race up any more perfect, where you've got the classy, consistent Two-Step Blues. You also have, in my eyes anyway, the most powerful closer, the best closer in the race, and Ronnie clearly agrees. We are a Victor Barboza exacta box in race number 3. But we're just getting warmed up. We've got more Victor B, a lot more racing, and, of course, Ronnie's Rainbow 6 on the other side of this quick timeout.
Whether you're at home or at the track, have a stake in the race when you bet with ExpressBet. Sign up for an ExpressBet online betting account and receive up to a $500 sign-up bonus.
And Gulfstream is pulling away. Gulfstream blows them away with an eye-opening performance. Awesome again has won. Gulfstream kicking clear. Judy the Beauty.
Ready to roll on this second segment of this live Friday edition of Gulfstream Today. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on a fast and good Friday, August the 3rd. Whitney weekend up at Saratoga. Florida Sire Stakes weekend here at Gulfstream Park. And it could be maybe eclipsing both of those marquee events, the Rainbow 6 carryover, my friend. I mean, we are really rolling along. And how do you see it?
Yeah, I got a $43.20 ticket, but I went 4 deep in this opening leg because this is wide open to me, this race. I used, the 2, 3, 5, and 6, 2 deep in the race. Number 5, we talked about Our Paper Chaser being my long shot playing there. I think it's 6-1 on the morning line. Then you get down there and you see in race number 8 my single, and that is the 3 Indian Scout. Just look at the horses this horse faced last time out. Front-loaded, Wiser, Ruler of the Nile. those horses were in here, they'd be 1 to 9 in that particular race. So I'm singling there so I can go deeper with 3 deep in the final leg. But it's all with Indian Scout in race number 8 this afternoon to see if this horse, who finished 4th last time out, but was facing some real monsters.
And down the line, in fact, one of 3 you used in race number 9 to cap that $43.20 ticket. I see his trainer, Natalie Fox, of course, the daughter of trainer David Fox, one of the more high-profile barns here, stabled year-round in South Florida. And Natalie has the number 8, Jezebel Jones, who you've got on the ticket. And, of course, she is starting her first-ever horse today under her name. So a new career for her, and best of luck to Natalie. And that horse is very dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous. Ran very well last time out in its debut. It certainly could win that race on paper for sure, and I'm going to be rooting for that, Natalie for sure.
Absolutely. Now, let's see what happens in this opening leg of Friday's Rainbow. 12-5, 2-year-old filly maiden claimer on the main track at 5.5 furlongs. We are down to a field of 6. You can take out the number 7, Fairfield, and I'll tell you, that leaves us with almost a standout in terms of the horses, and there's very few of them in this 6-pack that have raced. The 3, Country Girl Cheryl, we won't spend a ton of time on this race. I don't think, unless one of these firsters like the 5 Jersey Rose by Mucho Macho Man can run a little bit, this filly by Gone Astray will never, ever, ever find an easier spot.
Yeah, she's a half-sister to a local runner called Little Meatball, has a claimant tag sliced in half. She's supposed to win. I'm laughing at our selections up there. They're exactly the same, all 4. And why I went 4 deep in this race, because this is what you really want to call a head-scratcher.
No, it is. And when I was putting in that early pick 5 ticket this morning, there was a part of me that said, you know what, maybe you should just buy the race and bang out the all button. Because this 6-horse field may ultimately, because they're not the best horses on the ground, you might have a $30 winner in the mix, but I'm going to chalk it out, surprise, surprise. An ice cold 3-5, 6-2, super effective for the boys here on Gulfstream today. Let's move on to race number 5, just a 9 race Friday afternoon, which means we are more than halfway home, and the late pick 5 does get underway in Friday's 5th. A quick one here on the grass at 5 furlongs. I just want coverage in this race. I did not use Ronnie's long shot, who you'll hear about in just a couple of seconds, our paper chaser. But I wanted more informed, I guess, shorter price, more logically speaking and looking horses on paper. So a nice little spread to start. And talk about the pressure. It's on me tomorrow with Beat the Expert, my friend. Boy, I'm going to have to give Natalie some grief if Jezebel Jones doesn't get it done in the last. We hope you stay with us throughout the afternoon here on Gulfstream today. You'll hear a little interview from Natalie, and it sounds like Jezebel Jones has really come on since that first race, and she's pretty high in that filly. So she is indeed the single, and I stepped it up, my friend. It's Florida Sire Stakes weekend. I'm going for 36 smackers.
That's a big one. That's a big ticket for you.
I know
I kept mine at 43.20, but I did go 4 deep because I found that single this afternoon in this first leg that we're talking about.
Well, that, and we'll obviously, we'll certainly pick apart today's 8th race. I know you're very bullish on the Indian horse in that race, who you like, Indian Scout for Tammy Levy. Even though you like that horse a lot, there's got to be a part of you that thinks that claiming for 8,000 to boot came up like really tough.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's a tough race there. I just thought of that performance. Tammy going well. You got to find those singles unless you got those pockets that are really deep. So 43.20 for me. Wanted to keep it, and I just thought off that performance, flattered by those horses, I'd single there. And this is a template of what some people might want to do this afternoon.
Sounds good, and we might get some hitting early on, which in the end of the 5th race may ultimately, well, just be a mirror image of a July 12th race fairly late in the July 12th afternoon with the number 1 Bright Venezuelan. This is really rematch central. You've got a whole fleet, whole cavalcade of turf fillies and mares coming out of this race, the 9th race again, about a month ago, 3.5 weeks ago. And I'll tell you, I thought Bright Venezuelan was very, very good in the victory. And this is a horse who has shown when she gets good and can be consistently sharp, she tends to hold her form. And as she puts in a powerful close from the back of the pack, and boy, she did get a good ride that afternoon from Edgar Zayas, who won't be riding today. You'll get Tyler Gaffalione from the inside post. I don't think this race, for me anyway, is a coincidence. The effort, that it was first off the claim for trader Steve Caceres, and it does seem like that operation as a whole has picked things up here over the last month or so.
Well, we'll show you a stat on Steve Caceres over the last 5 years. Winner last out, claimers, sprinting on the turf. He's 7 for 36. It's a big sampling. He's 19%. He's in the money over 56% of the time. Got that $1.50 return of investment. So Bright Venezuelan, on paper, I thought was the one to beat in here. The reason I went with my long shot, I'll tell you about it now, and that's our paper chaser. Dropping back into the claiming ranks, turning back to a sprint distance, and that's what I like. Set that pressured pace last time out and tired, finishing in that dead heat for 6. That was the 1 mile, $117,000 Martha Washington. I just thought off the turn back that this horse might be able to upset the apple cart. A little bit of a price in here, Bright Venezuelan and Beach Girl, who you have on top of your ticket. I thought those were the logical too, and I like to go with those long shots, especially in races that are as wide open as this.
Oh, there's no argument for me that her best race, hands down in her 6-race career, is that effort 2 back going this distance on the turf. A surprising second that day, and she got the win via DQ at nearly 16-1. Maybe you're onto something here, but boy, I think we're going to get some hitting early on with the 7 Rose M. The number 8 Little Neck's got speed. The 9 Beach Girl, who I picked on top, will run well this afternoon for Eddie Plisa, and the number 10 Delicious Pursuit. A lot going on in the 5th race. A good way to cap that early pick 5. Let's move on to race number 6 as we flip the page. We're on the main going a mile. These are 62.50, 3 and up filly and mare claimers. I only went too deep in this race in the late pick 5, and that is basically because as I worked my way through and sized up the horses in the competition, the Volta's going out for Peter Walder, second off the claim, and at times she's a little inconsistent, but her good effort puts her right in the square mix of things this afternoon if she can rebound second off the claim. And the other sort of quote-unquote marquee trainer in the race is Victor Barboza Jr. with the number 6, Vicky Queen.
Yeah, comes into the race with almost the same modus operandi. You have Duvalita, the top choice that I have in here. Both of them didn't run very well last time out, so they have to bounce back. But you got the connections that can do it. With Duvaleta, you have Peter Walder, and as you mentioned with Vicky Queen, Victor Barboza Jr. I found this race a little tricky. This is the one where I'm afraid that somebody that's running okay, like Amazing Amelia, who comes off a win, might be able to upset those two.
Yeah, this will be a weekend, in fact. Speaking of Amazing Amelia, who I left out of my super, I gave her a long look. Don't forget that July 21st card was a day, I think, hands down, it was almost emphatic in which we had a resounding sort of a statement from just about everybody. Real dead rail that afternoon. Do you remember that day where horses were just making those wide outside sweeping runs? Amazing Amelia, by my count, is one of the first to return, and as it stands, she's obviously coming out of a win, but was very much with the track on that July 21st program. Stay tuned because there's a few running tomorrow and a few more coming back on Sunday. In fact, boy, do I have a bomber lurking here Sunday afternoon. Filly by the name of Peaceful Warrior Girl.
Oh, get that one right on top.
Did you? Oh, I was going to say, you didn't take.
I'm only kidding.
Oh, I'm lighting up the tote board with her on Sunday, my friend, off a sneaky dead rail trip from that July 21st program. All right, 7th race here as we start the final pick 3 on the main track, going 6.5 with this $10,000 3 and up filly and mare claimer. And I am actually, well, we're boxing up in a way. The 1 and 6 seem to be pretty popular on our tickets. And as I looked around, nobody has really distinguished themselves. The horses that have run, say, more than once have run 2, 3, 4 times. I'm not sure what happened on the turf first time out. If the number 1 dappled, it was a case of Stanley Gold saying, look, she's ready to run. This race might be a means to an end. We don't know if she's good enough to run from 8 and 40. She didn't get bet all that much at over 10-1. I'm hoping Daughter of Shackelford, second time out, catching a fairly lackluster field. It's go time today for the 1 dappled from that inside post.
Well, let's show you a stat on Mr. Stanley Gold. Horse is going from turf to dirt, 3-year-olds and up maiden claimers. He's 3 for 16, 90%. He's in the money half the time, 50%. He's got a nice return of investment of $3.62. So there is reason to think that this horse will run well with that big drop to the $10,000 level. The horse I put on top, For Love, dropping to this level, tracked the pace last time out, finished 4th. That was back-to-back sprints at the 16 level. Drop's got to help this horse. And Dreaming of Mermaids, which I actually did last night, I have this one on the ticket.
what do they say? Too much info? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, something like that.
You keep looking over to the left of you. Do we have a crowd up here?
No.
No, just looking at the other monitor?
No.
Okay, my friend. Anyway, Dappled for me. I respect the 6 for Love, who's run the best. I mean, I think, if you wanted the safety net in the race, it's the 6 for Love, who at least she's been somewhat consistent, probably byring about an average of 40 maybe in her races. She's the horse to beat. Elegante was first off the trainer change to Bob DeBona. She was the sneaky horse in the race for me. I've got her in third as she gets first-time Lasix. And I say it with peace and love. This is a big, big, big trainer change, my friend. Let's move on to race number 8 this afternoon. Final dirt race on this August 3rd card. This is a really deep $8,000 claimer. It's been mentioned a couple of times already on this edition of Gulfstream today. And I think for good reason, where Ronnie is very much in the camp of the 3 Indian Scout, who's taking a big drop and is a major, major player. You've got Brown's Gap the 4, and you'll see his last race in a second. 20-4 taking a drop down. Tea and Cricket was so good here over the spring for Oscar Gonzalez. And even Dash and Dazzle is a fairly consistent check getter. It's a pretty salty crew of hard-hitting veterans. Maybe none tougher. I'm not sure if he can win today, but man, I got so much respect for the number 4 Brown's Gap, and that's why we pulled the replay. He did not win his last start. He was beaten by the venerable Cheech Thunder, but I have really developed, Ronnie, an affinity for this Brown's Gap because he basically runs at the bottom here like clockwork. 62.50, even ran for 10 a couple back, or 12.5 rather, 3 starts back, 16 on the turf. I really have a soft spot for horses like him who are at the bottom rungs of the claiming game, who just hit so hard. And although he was beaten at 3-5, what, he beat the rest of the field by 7 lengths in that race?
Well, he's changing barns today. He's going to the Angel Rodriguez, but I want to show you a stat. First, after the claim, horse is going from route to sprint on the dirt. Limited sampling, but boy, is it good. 3 for 7, 43%. In the money 86% of the time, and a positive return of investment of $3.05. So narrowed it down to route to sprints on the dirt. He does very well. A logical choice in there. Indian Scout, you heard all about why I like this horse as a tick on my ticket. And number 18, Cricket, certainly figures in the mix.
I'm curious to see, I'm very anxious to see, in fact, is Tea and Cricket, could you make the argument that maybe this horse is a little over the top after really achieving new heights and setting the bar higher than it had ever been for him off the claim for Oscar Gonzalez? Are we starting to see him almost slowly but surely deteriorate just every little bit every time he shows up?
Well, I just think dropping back to the $8,000 level is what they saw, and that's why they put him where this horse can be very competitive.
Yeah, he may get claimed today, and 20-4 is taking a big drop, and I like that this horse, and he had been off form and quite frankly just over his head in a series of races, but I like that 2 and 3 back, a couple of races separated by just 3 weeks in June, that he finally showed some life. In over his head last time out, probably going a little further than he prefers. He's cutting back ever so slightly from a mile to 7/8. And again, he caught a pretty salty crew in this Friday 8th race, but I do think it's a good spot for the 5, 20, and 4. It's just a good race. This might be, Ronnie, my favorite race on the card. Here's the 9th on the afternoon. One more to bring you here as we close things out, and what will be a Rainbow 6. What's the pool at today? We got $630K in the carryover. Did we get to about $750 going in with fresh money?
Yeah, I think so. Just about that. They've been betting like $150,000 a day. So as it gets bigger and bigger, but more people get involved, so it could be more than that. But I'm sure everybody is zeroing in tomorrow with that huge card that we have with the 153 entries, as you said.
Yeah, $153 prior to scratches. And speaking of zeroing in, well, we've zeroed in right on trainer Natalie Fox, who worked for her dad for quite some time, clearly comes from good stock. And in talking to her, she feels as though, and this will be her first career starter if you're just joining us, she feels that Jezebel Jones is doing really well and is likely to improve. She's got to improve off a solid debut, I think a good building block type effort. What do you like about Jezebel Jones?
Well, she had that trouble. She bumped, she steadied, she finished 5th. And just looking at the level of competition, this horse takes that positive step forward. Besides rooting for Natalie, this horse is the one to beat in my estimation on the ticket.
And, you know, the beauty with her, and even a horse that I got a little cute with in the 7, Grand Allegra, took all that money first time out on the dirt and did not run well on the slop, is horses like Jezebel Jones, I'm always going to give the edge to when you've got a horse like the 5, Total Treasure, who's a major player and may be co-favorite in this race, but I'm sorry, she's 0 for 15 and 0 for a goose egg for 6 starts on the turf.
Yeah, she just can't win at this distance. 4 starts, a second and a third. Total Treasure, one of the reasons I like Jezebel Jones a little bit better. And I used the 2, and you also used on your ticket, Glotanasa, who's returning to the turf, showed some speed. Louis Duco, Marcus Meneses, 3rd start back from that long layoff.
Is it the speed that, at least in your mind, makes her a potential upsetter in this race?
Yeah, I'm always going to go with 5 furlongs. You know, all things being equal, speed is what you want to have when you're running 5 furlongs on the turf. You know, if there's a lot of speed, of course the closers can win. It's not a natural fact that they're going to win, but certainly could be on the ticket, and then always attracted to speed.
Absolutely. Love that speed. And speaking of speed, that's 9 up and 9 down on this edition of Gulfstream today. We'll take a little time out, and the man is coming up next, Pete Aiello, with those Friday scratches and changes. Following that, Ronnie and I back downstairs to our Paddock Set studios. Good to have you with us, everybody. Stay tuned.
A passion for horses and a commitment to breed champions is the foundation of Hardacre Farm. Founded by Amy Tarrant, owner, breeder, and trainer, Hardacre Farm, based in Ocala, continues its tradition of success from the Breeders' Cup to Gulfstream Park. Hardacre Farm, from the breeding shed to the racetrack, in pursuit of producing the best.